All right. Hello, good evening, and welcome to our very first actual Let's Learn online session that is powered by Evolve Her and our community partners, SunDAO, who we're going to learn from tonight. And I'm super excited to be learning because it's actually a topic that I want to learn more about. Being an educator and a lifelong learner, I'm always super excited to learn about new topics and dive deeper. And then all things blockchain, who's also one of our community members. So just quickly, just to give you a bit of a rundown, I'm going to do a short introduction just kind of on myself and what we do and who all things blockchain are. And we've got some upcoming events and some announcements. That's only going to take a few minutes. Then we're going to jump right into learning about, Web3 investing. And then we're going to jump into some Q&As. So that is kind of we're going to leave lots of opportunity for everybody to be interactive. So just a bit of housekeeping. As I mentioned previously, and for anybody else that is just joining us, this session is recorded and it is shared with the community. So for whatever reason, if you do not want your name or your photo display, just please make sure that you make those adjustments. But it will be recorded and shared in our community platform, which I'll tell you about in just a moment. So just quickly, who am I? If you haven't had a chance to attend one of our previous events or we're just meeting for the first time, my name is Danielle Marie. You can go ahead and connect with me by scanning that QR code, but I'm the founder of Evolve Her and also one of the original founding members of All Things Blockchain, which I will tell you about in just a little bit more. And I wear a lot of different roles, as you can see, sitting on different boards, and I've been an educator for a very long time. So, well, not a long time, I should say for the last 5 years in the Web3 space. That definitely feels like a very long time. So our mission with Evolve Her is we are looking to empower over 1 million women to enter confidently into the digital economy. And so this umbrella is anything like with Web3 and AI. So that's our overall kind of thriving mission. And how we're going to do that is through mentorship programs, through education programs, and through community building. So tonight is a prime example of how we're bringing the community together. We're partnering with our community partner, SunDAO, and we are providing education to the community. So these are some of our core pillars at Evolve Her. Now, we are doing it with our impact partners. So these are just some of the impact partners that we have brought on, and they range from community to education to other different type of industry, such as like GoDollar or Koala Pay. And we've got plenty more coming soon. So we are looking for more partnerships. If there's anybody that's on this call, we're looking for scholarship, we're looking for education, community, and social impact partners. And we're in the process of onboarding those. So please, let's grow together and feel free to reach out to us. As I mentioned previously, we are launching a community hub under the Evolve Her. And then we are also partnering with some of our community partners. And we are doing a little promo with our community while our team's busy building it away. We're going to give the first 100 people a lifetime founding membership. And that means that it will be free forever and ever, even if down the track we end up, charging for memberships, for which we'll always have a free one because that's our motto. We always provide free education and community. But the founding members will get, a special lifetime founding membership. Lastly, before I pass it off to SunDAO, who is our community partner that's leading tonight's session, just quickly for those of you that maybe found your way through here through Evolve Her or through SunDAO, and you don't know who All Things Blockchain are, we've founded All Things Blockchain in November 2020 as a nonprofit association. So it's a community organized by the community for the community. Now, I have been the lead driver and force behind that, but I have a team now that help me, and we've achieved some amazing results. We have over 3,300 members already locally. We host regular monthly educational networking events, both online and in person. So if you want to, reach out or tap into more into that community, you can go ahead and scan that QR code as well. So we do have some upcoming events. These are always posted on our Evolve Her Luma page. And then we'll also, and once we launch the community hub, we have like a community calendar. So that's where you can be able to find. And we share our community partners events as well. So for example, on July 2nd, we've got, an online fireside chat. And then we've also got the ATB event, which is in Brisbane, but we also live stream all of our events. So if you're not local and you do want to tap in and you want to listen, you can do that. And then we also share all of the recordings in our community newsletter, and then eventually we'll be in the community hub as well. So that's it from me. Love to connect with anybody that would like to learn more about anything that we're doing, or if you see any opportunity for us to partner or collaborate, just like how we have partnered with SunDAO. So I'm going to pass it over to the ladies. So I'm not sure, I'm going to introduce Chris and Diana. I'm not sure who's going to take over first, but ladies, firstly, thank you for joining us tonight, and thank you for your time and sharing your knowledge with us. And if you could just briefly both introduce yourselves, what you do. I know that, Chris, you're in Melbourne, and Diana, where are you again? You're somewhere in Europe.
In Europe, in Romania.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about yourselves and what do you do, and what is SunDAO, and then we can jump into the educational part of the night.
Can I share the screen or?
Yeah, you should be able to go ahead and just hit share.
It's asking me. Yeah, let me see. Oops.
Maybe Chris, while
yeah.
you got it?
I think it's something with Zoom because I usually don't using it. I will need to jump back. Maybe Chris, can you share the presentation instead?
Let me try as well. Hold on.
Sorry, yeah, sometimes we always use Zoom because we have the Zoom account where we have a paid account where we can invite lots of people to attend. So I think if you don't have the software downloaded, you might have to give it permissions. Sometimes you have to give.
Yeah, I'm giving you the permissions, but it says that in order to update the permissions, I will need to jump back.
Okay.
Otherwise, I can do it, or Chris, you can share it.
Let me see if I can.
Oh, it looks like we've got some action.
Can you see the screen here?
Maybe, yeah. Oh, yeah, now we can. It's just not in presenter mode. We can see it.
Yeah, let me see. Slideshow. How about now? Okay, it's loading.
Yeah, it's loading.
So I think we have plenty of time to do this interactive, the session. So how we are thinking to do it is present ourselves, talk a bit about SunDAO and in general about investing in blockchain space, or invest like the opportunity about crypto investing and the difference between crypto investing and blockchain investing. What I think would be very nice if it would be if maybe everyone that is in the call, as you guys share from where you are and so on, maybe you can either start putting maybe some questions, or like what's actually like what would be some of the topics that you are interested to talk into the session, because we don't know you necessarily. So we usually both myself and Chris are coming from the very tech part of blockchain. So we just want to adjust the presentation in a way that it's like you guys would take the best out of it, and it's at the level of and or it's matching what you guys would want to learn about. So we can even go like high level or more in technical details. So yeah, maybe if you can, I don't know, put some context about yourself, like what you're interested in. Are you like have you done in the past investments in the blockchain or in crypto, or do you know about like this space? Or any questions? Yeah, we will discuss them. Yeah, so then let me jump into the presentation. So we are SunDAO Ventures. Both myself and Chris are co-founders of the DAO. It's a DAO. What a DAO means? DAO, it means it's a decentralized autonomous organization. If you have been in, or like if you are already in the blockchain space, you might be familiar with this term. The decentralized autonomous organizations are a new type of organizations, like similar with companies, but they are run in a decentralized way. What does it mean to be run in a decentralized way? Usually in companies, the decisions are being taken by the founder or are being taken by the management board or by the leadership of the organization. In a DAO, in a decentralized autonomous organizations, the decisions inside the company or the organizations are being taken by a community through vote, for example. The most of the cases is like through vote. And this is also how we do the decision inside SunDAO. So SunDAO, it's an investment DAO. And then all the decisions around investments, we do it together as a group, as a community. And I will tell you more about that. But just to maybe set up the context in regarding like what's SunDAO in general. As I said, I'm one of the co-founder. I'm Diana. I'm Romanian, but traveling a lot, like enjoying the blockchain life. I'm in blockchain for I think I don't know 4 or 5 years now, full time. I was the ecosystem lead for Cosmos ecosystem. This is one of the biggest blockchain ecosystems in the world. And basically for Cosmos, I led all the treasury, like around $40 million treasury. And I was as well leading the work of the teams that were maintaining and enhancing the technical stack for Cosmos ecosystems, around like 25 teams distributed globally. I'm coming from the corporations world. So before blockchain, I used to work for big names in the corporate world like Procter & Gamble or Deutsche Bank, and even other in the past. Besides SunDAO, beside being one of the founders of SunDAO, I'm as well leading one of the strongest Eastern Europe blockchain community here in Eastern Europe. And yeah, that's like a bit about myself.
And for me, I am based in Melbourne, Australia, but I'm currently in Europe, going for the largest Ethereum community event in Cannes with Danielle together. My background is technical background, computer science, always working with the technology. Before crypto, I worked with large corporations like Microsoft, Accenture, large banks and financial services industries. And I spent a bit of time also working overseas, in the Switzerland. And that's where also I joined the Interchain Foundation and starting to working with the Cosmos ecosystems. I was the technical director for the Interchain Foundation, and that's where me and Dan met, and we work closely together on driving the growth of the Cosmos ecosystems. My main responsibility is really about the technical strategy, the roadmap, work very closely with the product feature teams on the ground, coming to the product development and engineering side of things. Yes, well, Dan and I started with SunDAO together, I think over a year ago, and we went operationalized in November last year. So now it's really 6 or 7 months down the track. And we had made 4 investments so far, and I'll be able to talk a little bit more of what kind of project we actually invested. and probably will give you, some interesting insights that come to the, venture investing side of things.
Nice. I see that people are already putting their questions or a bit of their background in the chat. And so thank you so much, Margaret and Martin, for sharing with us. And yeah, we will tackling as well the question like as we move forward with the presentation. So yeah, like I said, I think I was tackling what's SunDAO. It's an decentralized autonomous organization. Right now, we are the largest interchain investment DAO. Usually how the thing, and maybe you guys are already familiar, but how the investments usually go in from the institutional side. Usually you would have like traditional funds where there is like a centralized company that creates a fund by raising the money from different liquidity providers or like limited partners. And then they would be deploying these funds through like a certain team that takes the decision. So the differentiation between like the traditional investors or the traditional institutions that are doing investments and SunDAO is that, as I said, we are a decentralized organization, meaning that we like all the decisions are being done by our investors that are inside the community. So what does this mean? It means that inside our DAO, inside our organization, it's very critical to have like high profile people, like experts in the industry, right? Because we are relying on them to take the best decisions regarding scouting for deals and deploying the capital. So till now, we have 60 curated investors. We have protocol founders. When I'm saying protocol founders, I mean founders of other blockchain ecosystems. We have very big validators inside our DAO. We have reputable security auditors inside our DAO, or like very experienced blockchain engineers. So this is how, and like anyone in the end can join SunDAO and benefit from the collective experience, as long as we find a good way of that member providing valuable or value added for SunDAO in general, beside the capital, right? Because as we are an investment DAO, in the end, everyone comes in there for doing investments in the space. We are looking in terms of like investments type. We are only investing in early stage startups in the industry, meaning we deploy capital on startups that are having angel rounds, pre-seed or seed rounds. Those would be if like for people that maybe they're just starting with angel investing or with traditional investing in general. Those would be very early stage of a startup. So before the startup goes mainstream, or I don't know, it's very known in the industry. Why we do this? We do this because we consider that in this stage, when the startups are very, very early, there is the biggest gaining potential. Of course, the risk is as well very big, because the startup has not yet I know launch maybe the full project or like the full product on the market, but right, with great risk can like comes usually with great potential. The check size that we do, it's between 50K and 100K USD. In general, that's considered not a big ticket. The usual ticket size for a traditional fund would be 250K. Why we do this, like a smaller amount? It's like, it's on purpose, to be honest, because we, as a DAO, we come with the entire community of experts behind it, behind our investment. So beside the capital that we are bringing to the startup, we also bring like a powerful stream of support or a powerful stream of knowledge that can fuel the startup greatly in their journey. I think we can go to the next slide. So I'm also seeing that Alex once like put in there like a small questions about what Web3 actually is and what's the relationship between Web3 and blockchain. That's actually a good question, and actually we can actually deep dive a bit in this just in a few minutes when Chris will take the floor and talk a bit about the technical side. Daniela is asking, and maybe that's a good question to tackle right now. Daniela is asking, how many members need to agree on an investment for it to proceed forward? All 60? No, Daniela, that's actually a very good question. And when we wrote the SunDAO white paper and all the governance model of the SunDAO, that was one of the things that we discussed a lot about what would be the volume that we want to have, or we want like the minimum volume that we want to impose into the DAO in order for any decision to be taken. So the best practice, there are like different researches in terms of like decentralized autonomous organizations or running communities as a whole. In general, the decentralized autonomous organizations are a new type of organizations, right? So for us as well, like we feel that right now we are at the front of the industry, and we are paving the way through our DAOs and through the rest of the DAOs that have appeared lately. We are paving the way for like writing the best practices in the space. For us, the minimum quorum needs to be 20%, and basically we are looking. But usually, what happens in the DAO from like around between 30 to 60% usually vote into the DAO, but like in order to be able to pass fast different decisions, the minimum quorum would be 20%. And what we do then, when this quorum it's accomplished, and like I said, all the decisions till now had more than this, but that would be the minimum. Then we look for the majority of the vote, right? So that would be 51% of the vote to be either like yes or no, depending on the decision that we have. Yeah, that's another good question. I see Daniela put another one. Is it only one vote per member, or if you invest more into the DAO, do you have more voting power? That's a very good question. Why I'm saying it's a very good question is because that's one of the points that usually decentralized autonomous organizations needs to be very attentive, or like needs to pay a lot of attention when set up its structure. And indeed, there are two ways of configuring the voting power. One is exactly one vote per member, and another is giving a certain percent of voting power to a DAO member, depending on I know certain criteria. In our way, for example, in our case, because we are an investment DAO, we would have being able to give like a certain percentage of voting power, depending on exactly how much a DAO member invests or not. What we did, though, we took the decision to configure the voting structure in the DAO in one vote per member. Why I'm saying this is that, and why this makes sense for us is because in the DAO, there isn't the need to put upfront any investment. So each DAO member votes to invest in a certain deal by deal basis, so case by case basis. So in this regard, it makes sense everyone to have like an equal vote, and then signal how much funds they would want to invest in a certain investment. And at the end, based on the quorum, we take the decision if that investment is being approved or not by the DAO. On the slide, we are like, these are part of the members that we have in the DAO. We are very proud, like I said, to have like very big names. We have leaders from, like I said, one of the biggest foundations, blockchain foundations in the world, or validators, or security auditors, or I know, core teams from different ecosystems, or founders of different protocols. Maybe we can go next. Why we decided to do an investment DAO and not create like a traditional fund. That's another point that we wanted to tackle into the into the call, and feeds a bit in the topic of how the blockchain investments actually work. So what happens usually, and if you guys have, like I said, invest in general in the traditional companies, or even in blockchain companies or crypto in general, you would see that many times what's important is to have insider information about the project, or to have like a very, very deep understanding about, and especially for the startups that are playing with very innovative technologies, as for example, blockchain or artificial intelligence or quantum computing. Those all are like very complex and innovative technologies. So especially for the startups that are working in that space, it's very hard to actually understand what's their edge, and like the potential, and what they're actually building after you remove all the fluff and all the marketing, if you don't have very good technical expertise, or if you are not very well connected in the industry, or like I said, have insider information about them. So having this collection, or like group of highly experienced people in the space, like for example, like I said, till now we have 60 members, and everyone is super well connected in the industry. We are able to do a way more deeper due diligence around all the investments that are coming. What also happens is that because everyone is very, very well connected in the space, we are able to learn about like very promising startups very early stage. So that's a very good balance, to have access to like very early on like high potential startups, and then have the technical and business expertise to vet them if they actually do something very valuable. Like after, like I said, you remove all the fluff, all the marketing, and all the buzz that, or like FOMO that everyone tries to do. Yeah, I think that's, I guess, one of the main points here. Yeah. So maybe just to finish this idea, how we are able to access the best deals in Web3 and in blockchain. And Chris will anyway discuss a bit about what's blockchain and what's Web3 and what's crypto, I think. So in general, like many of the investors, or like or how we see it right now is they either go on the open market, right, and like try to invest when the project it's already mainstream, it's featured on the biggest exchanges and so on. So that's one category. And then what you can do, you can try to invest in the project or the startup before it goes mainstream. And this is what we do. Our edge is the fact, like I said, that because we have and we are creating, constantly adding more and more high profile and like valuable people in the DAO, we are able to get to the inner circles of the industry and have access to early stage startups that we are vetting them inside the community, like as a group. The in general, what we see is that the startup, and what happens usually for these high potential startups, it's many times the traditional funds have difficulties in actually entering the rounds, like the early stage rounds, because everyone would want to be there. When you find like a very good startup and has high potential and everyone is excited about it and has like very strong backers, everyone would want to join the DAO, to join the investment. For us, it's pretty easy to enter in all these rounds, especially because we have this very good mix of providing them a checks, like funds, but in the same time, being able to provide them with technical support and business support and connections in the industry through the community that we are having. I see Daniela is asking, and we will as well like explain you a bit in a couple of minutes like how anyone is joining the DAO. But yeah, in general, anyone can apply and join the DAO. And there is an internal review process that happens. And yeah, like if the review process goes well, yeah, we usually accept the DAO like people to join the DAO. And this is because we are thriving, or like the entire DAO and like the DAO community, it's thriving by getting in more and more like very well connected people or passionate about the industry, or being interested to contribute more than with capital, right, for the investments that we do, for the startups that we are investing in.
Okay, maybe this is the time I can continue on this conversation and sharing more from a market trend perspective, also a bit of explanation of what is blockchain and what is the Web3 side of things. So for people who have heard about the terms blockchain, Web3, cryptos, they are very interrelated to each other. In general, blockchain is really a backend technology. You think about a database, right? And the blockchain is generally we call a decentralized database, because you think about right now, for example, even companies or even ourselves, we store our database, data in the database, and we own that database, or the company own that database. That is a centralized database, right? And blockchain, the key differentiation is the decentralization. It's essentially there is probably a multiple people, a group of people can own the same sort of copy of a database, exactly seeing the same set of data, and they can hold each other accountable to make sure the update of the data is correct. So I give you an example of if we think about Web 2, our traditional internet, and we see the innovation like the website, and people can publish the information on the website, and we can read, and we can reply, and sharing of the information. And the same as the emails, is kind of the information and knowledge share. But in the Web3, which is innovation of the decentralized database technology, and what does that do actually, in reality? So, for example, if I say, "Hey, Dana, can you give me, $100 right now?" She's in Romania, and I'm in Australia. The only way she can do it right now is with a bank, right, or an intermediate, or an app, maybe a banking app or something. And these we classify as a centralized database. We have to rely on an intermediate party to be able to do that transaction for us, right? So there is a trust built in with that centralized intermediary. And the other way we can do it is we actually, I'm going to fly to Romania, and she handed me the 100 paper bills, right? So in person, face to face. The blockchain is exactly solving the problem of the value transfer in a trustless way. So basically, the third way she can do it is basically she can pass me the US dollars, like stable coin, on the blockchain, and we don't need to rely on any sort of intermediate parties or any banks to actually finish the transaction. And it can be done in a very fast and secure and trustless way. So this is the key. We see a pattern. We see the value of Web3 is really enable the value transfer. See, the Web 2 is about knowledge and information transfer and sharing, and the Web 3 is all kind of the value transfer. And then let's see quite a lot of startups or businesses actually built in Web 3 is actually DeFi, which is decentralized finance, is come from the financial services industry as the first group of people who actually adopt the technology and do the innovation on top of it. And I think the crypto is really the asset that is built on the blockchain, or the created by the blockchain. The most famous one is the Bitcoin. I think everyone here knows Bitcoin. And I want to here talk about the big question, or the elephant in the room, of why crypto and what's the pattern. So on the left, you can see the Bitcoin's historical price across 4 distinct cycles over the past 14 years. I guess most of you heard about the bull cycles and bear cycles, right? So the pattern is very consistent. So you see in 2013, it's a 23,000% run up. And then there's a sharp reset from the price of the Bitcoin. And then 4 years later, in 2017, it's another 9,800% of the rally up, and then followed by a sharp 84% of the drawdown. And 4 years later, in 2021, and we see a 1,600% of the climb, and peaking around 70,000 US dollars. And now this is the current cycle. We are already up 570% from the 2022 bottom. So we can see here is a very consistent pattern here. That is always massive upside, but upside is getting smaller and smaller with each cycle. And there's a reason for that. So there's massive upside, deep corrections, and then there's a full recovery to a new all-time highs. Now Bitcoin is at its all-time high, which is over 100,000 US dollars. I think the top probably 110,000. So it's coming down a little bit. So, but here is the critical. So here is the patterns. Basically, we run on the bull and the bear cycles, and it's always a upside, correction, and then a full recovery, right? On the right-hand side, you can see how Bitcoin compared to gold and S&P 500 over the last 10 years. is compounded at 84% per year, right? So now here is the critical shift for investors and people you are here on the call. And people will ask, then if that's the case, why don't we just buy Bitcoin or buy Bitcoin ETF, which already been approved? So Bitcoin is currently a multi-$100 billion asset, right? It's an ETF traded asset, which means the traditional institution investors could have access to it and buy it and trade it. So the liquidity is up and the volatility is trending down. That's, you can also see every time they go up, but the trending is actually coming down. So if we think about Bitcoin can still grow 100 times from now on, it's mathematically unlikely. So what does that mean? It means the opportunities coming in the Web3 were critical. It migrates from the mainstream asset like Bitcoin to the edges. So when Bitcoin moves, the capital and talent, they pour into the broader ecosystems. For example, other blockchain project, infrastructure project, DeFi, decentralized finance project, as we see, the NFTs, the real world asset projects, AI project, all those sort of things starting to move with Bitcoin moving through the cycle. And those are the opportunities we can see have a higher potential to grow compared to Bitcoin. So if you're looking for a huge growth potential, so probably 10 times to 100 times of the outcome for your investment, is still possible with the edges, but not possible in our view with the Bitcoin anymore to grow 100 times because it's already so high. And that's why we do venture investing, not just to buy ETFs. We leverage Bitcoin's cycle to time the entry, and then we back the startup that can turn a bull market tailwind into a unicorn level of the returns. I want to talk about the timings and market, you know, from a macro economy sort of situation and why it's now a good time we thinking is to invest. So first, timing. You know, for Bitcoin, we have what we call halving event. So that is to explain is Bitcoin has a limited supply, which is 21 million Bitcoins for the total supply. And then after that, there is no more Bitcoin anymore. And the way of they doing it is every 4 years, they will do a halving event. So that means every 4 years, they will reduce the supply for Bitcoin. So historically, the sweet spot for outsized return we see in the general crypto market and early stage venture entry is generally 6 to 18 months after the halving of the Bitcoin. So we are actually in the mid cycle here for deployed capital. And second is the global liquidity is back. So if we see the Australian just they lower the interest rate, you know, twice, I think in the past 6 months. And the same with follow with the US, also the Fed, you know, lower the interest rate. What does that mean is it means aggregated M2 supply across the top central banks and the global economy starting to turn positive. And historically, every major crypto rally, which is a bull market, has basically coincided with that kind of monetary policy acceleration. And add to this, the US election, right? We all know the Donald Trump is flipped into the pro-crypto, and Trump has publicly committed to making the US a leader in crypto, signaling the friendly regulatory outlook like we have ever seen, you know, since the US regulation history. For people who also follow the news, the institutional demand, which means in last year, the US basically they approved the spot Bitcoin, Ethereum ETF, as I mentioned. That basically means institution money starting to flow into the market, and that is a sort of a sticky long-term capital, and it's still flowing. Then we talk about the number 4 is user adoption, user growth. There are currently over 600 million crypto holders worldwide. So it means people owning crypto. And that is actually under 10% of the global internet users. If we think about Web2, Web3, the internet users and versus the crypto users, there is still the adoption is definitely accelerating, and there is also a very big potential for it to grow from its user basis. So plenty of room to run. And number 5, we talk about venture pricing. So this quarter 2025 for the venture capital or VC fundings, it's probably around 2.6 billion. So this is the lowest level compared to since 2020, so 5 years ago. What does that mean is we are actually buying into a great project at a reset valuation. So not a hyped valuation, but I think now the valuation is relatively low. And finally is the return dispersion. So crypto VC, we generally talk about traditional VC and crypto VC. We have generally returned 2 or 3 times higher compared to the traditional VCs. So which is meaning the top VCs in the crypto in the past cycle actually delivered 20 times of return for their investment. I want to talk about, since we just touched base on the traditional VC and the crypto VC, I want to probably touch about the differences with traditional VCs and also the SunDAO, how we invest. So on the traditional VC, if people go into the venture, you generally putting your money upfront into a fund. That fund is normally running 7 to 10 years, depends on the fund size and their strategy. What does it mean is your money basically being locked into the fund for 7 to 10 years. You cannot take it back until the fund is actually finished. But in SunDAO's Diana mentioned, we do in a very much deal by deal basis. So you don't have to commit capital upfront, and you only commit once you decided like you like this deal, you like to invest in this deal. So that's the flexibility we have in the DAO model, right? The second one is the traditional GP and LP structure. That is, in the traditional, you only have 2 GPs or 3 GPs. We call general partner that make decisions for the investment for the deal. But with the faster moving of the technology, especially in the crypto and Web3, it's impossible for 2 or 3 people to understand, how the technologies and go into the details of each sort of the subcategories and do a deep dive on all of those. You cannot be one person knowing everything. And that's why it's the power of the DAO. As Dan mentioned, we have 60 DAO members right now, and they specialize in all kinds of different areas. Some in the security, some in the AI, some have deep expertise in the decentralized finance. So we could actually pour those sort of individual capital, smart capitals together and to evaluate the deal and also sourcing the deals. And it's a community-led sort of decision making. So we make sure that we have a diverse perspectives and be able to overcome some bias, especially within the VC industries as well. And the number 3 point is really low capital velocity. What does that mean is for a traditional fund, I mentioned about it's the 7 to 10 years sort of return. And for us, because the crypto return is by we call a token launch event, which is basically startup going to launch their tokens, they sell their tokens publicly, and this is where you can exit your capital. In the traditional fund, you have to wait for startup to raise from pre-seed round, seed round, Series A, Series B, and all the way to IPO, whether they can make it, if they can make it. But in the crypto, because the nature of the token, we be able to actually return the investment in 6 to 12 months if the startup be able to issue their tokens. So the return cycle is much shorter compared to the traditional VC. And the last is the long DD cycles. Is also, as Dana said, when we do the investment, it's a community-led investment, which is meaning is we have expertise in those areas, so we can go quite quicker, come to the DD through our network, and is also is a community led. Our DAO contributors, many of whom are Web3 builders and operators already, we can vote and collaborate on the investment. So this means, for the founders with startups, SunDAO means speed and support. We be able to bring very smart capital and hands-on network. So this model is purposely built for the pace and openness of Web3. I don't think this is good or actually better, compared to the Web2 investment. But for Web3, in our view, the DAO model certainly have its very unique advantages. It gives our DAO members, the transparency and optionality. And it also gives the startup founders very fast aligned capital from a community that actually builds. So we do be able, that's why we be able to get into some really hot deals because of the models, and the founders actually like the way we invest, and they actually quite enjoy engaging with our community, presenting to our community, getting feedback from our community, and they see us as more of a partner than just a capital allocators. And I'm going to also share some of the SunDAO portfolios, what we have invested in the past, right? So we invested in a wide range of early stage Web3 projects. One thing in common in this are actually the early stage. They are very early stage alphas that come straight from our builders network. For example, Valence, they make the interoperability programmable for the modular chain ecosystems. They are infrastructure. They basically, think about, making the connection protocol, being able to program on those protocols, which is pretty cool. And the Drop.money, they are a very novel approach to liquid staking, which is basically I can turn into my staked asset and make them to be used again for other protocols which generate more yield. So they are actually a cross-chain DeFi protocols. And Warden protocol is an infrastructure for deploying autonomous AI agent on blockchain. And XO market is, if you know the prediction market, that people actually putting bet on certain predictions like US elections and stuff like poly market. XO market is a conviction-based prediction platform, but in a very decentralized way. So people can actually create their own market and get people to engage and participate in those market predictions. So we keep it very simple and focused, right? We curated 1 to 2 high conviction deals every month, and every deal comes from due diligence memos, investment memos, tokenomics analysis, and community calls directly to talk to the funding team, ask questions to the founders, and then a private community elaboration sessions after the call, and people give very honest opinion on what they think about deals, the strengths and weakness of the deals, so that people can actually be very informed on the decisions they going to be made. We give our members very early access to the pre-hype, very high quality projects, and it's sourced, vetted, and backed by a global community of crypto experts. And I pass time to Dana to explain, if you want to join the SunDAO, what will be the process and benefits it's going to be.
Yeah. And we have as well a couple of other questions on the chat. And please, as we're finishing the slides, because there aren't that many slides, it will be only this one, I guess, left. Please, feel free to put any other questions or curiosities or I don't know, thoughts in the chat. So before jumping into the how to join the DAO, I think Martin has asked questions around how, like, around the startups that we have invested so far, how they have performed, paycheck and return of investment. So we launched in November, Martin. So every month, basically, how it goes in the DAO, every month we are reviewing 1 or 2 investments. We could review like a lot more projects, but what happens is that we are filtering like very strongly the ones that like would be presented in the DAO, and we want people to have the ability to be focused on like the most high potential investment. So that's why usually the DAO, like the entire DAO community, it's reviewing 1 or maybe 2 deals per month. So from November we had, so it's around, let's say, 6 months from when we launched the actual DAO and started onboarding like gradually the members that wanted to join. We reviewed I think 6 or 7 startups in the DAO. So they presented in front of the entire community. Out of those 4 received investment. None of them has launched yet. So we are also like super curious on how they be performing. Usually, and maybe if you would be as well familiar with the investments in traditional investment, but also in crypto or like blockchain investments, usually it takes a while till the startup it's launching on the market. Especially if you invest like super early stage, as we do. If you invest, I don't know, in Series A, Series B, or if you are going on the open market and, I don't know, buy by yourself different tokens, you are able to see like already how the startup it's behaving. But if you invest in the early stages, you need to wait a bit. Usually it's around, or like from our experience, it's around 1 year till the startups actually going to the to launching on the open market. The good thing though, when doing angel investments in the Web3 space versus traditional investment in general, what is one thing that Chris was mentioning is the fact that you can, as they are launching on the market, you are able to exit faster than on, I don't know, normal investments, right? Because you have, what happens is that beside the equity that you get, you would get as well tokens, right? So the tokens, as they are traded on the open market, you are, as the startup it's launching on the open market, the ones that you received in this early stage rounds of funding of the startup, you would be able to put them on the market and sell them if you would want, right? And if you would have them from the investments. I hope that responded a bit to your question. Like, I wanted to as well explain more on like how the usual process works, because I feel that it's very beneficial, like in terms of education, to walk through the details in general, rather than, I don't know, just providing the yes/no answers. And let me know, I don't know, if you want to yeah, okay. Okay, so in terms of joining the DAO, I saw also Alex was asking a question about how to join the DAO. So currently we have 2 types of channels of entering the DAO. This one, it's more around joining as an individual, as a business angel, but we also have in the DAO full organizations that have entered, because what we saw, and probably you know as well, you can people are doing investments like as individuals, as business angels, but also they want to do sometimes investments as a fund, like a bigger fund, or through their organization, through their company, and so on and so forth. So there are like different ways of onboarding an individual or onboarding an entire organization or a fund of that wants to invest as well. Maybe it's investing already in the traditional companies and would want to start investing or to experiment as well, investing in the blockchain startups. So that would be a different process. So Alex, depending on this, I can cover here the individual membership, and then if you want, I can also cover how it would be going for institutions if that's the case, or we can talk it separately as if you want. But on the individual side, so how we are doing the onboarding of members in the DAO, because we want to curate the members, and in the same time make sure that they get the right added value from being in the DAO. We put together like a structured way of joining the DAO. So everyone that would want to join the DAO would need to apply. We have like a form on our website, and I can put here the website if you guys are curious or want to check it out. So there is a form that you can fill, and in the form it gives us like the basic informations about who you are, if you have previous experience in investing in general or in the blockchain or crypto space. And then after you would be applying on the website, we will be reaching out to you to set up a call. And that's almost like some sort of like interview where we meet you and like understand who you are. And also you would have the chance to ask as many questions as you would be having, and like deciding together if joining the DAO would be beneficial for both the DAO and for you, of course. And then if that interview goes well, then we are having another due diligence process inside the team where we are also like looking or like grabbing more information about you, looking maybe on your profiles on the internet, like checking out the experience that you have, and in general like the thinking about what would be the added value that that person that's joining DAO can bring inside the community. And like I said, till now we are very proud that we were able to onboard 60 valuable members. So part of being in the DAOs, there are a lot of things like very nice about the DAO, and in general we get like very good feedback about from the people that are already in, or like from the organization. I don't know if you notice, at least just a bit earlier when Chris was talking about the startups that we invested into, I don't know if you noticed the terminology that Chris was using. She was talking about interoperability, liquid staking, prediction markets, AI agents. So it's like being in the DAO and being exposed to this type of investments, it's a learning experience itself, right? So beside the ability of being able to invest in very promising startups, in a configuration where the due diligence or like the decision is being done together, together with like a very strong community of business and technical experts. So beside that, we see as many members joining as well for the opportunity of actually learning more about the space, learning about all the innovation that's happening in the blockchain space and what's actually behind the hood, and like what are like the super like the trends that are coming and that are may hit us in 1 or 2 years or 3 years from now. I see I will pause just a bit, and because Martin, you have asked another question. Is the investment 50 to 100K each investor in initial investment only, or do you require members invest similar amounts on ongoing basis? So Martin, the 50 to 100K, it's the full amount that the DAO is investing in a startup. So this doesn't mean that any investor or each investor needs to put 50 to 100K. No. What happens is, because we are entering in very early stage of the startups rounds, the tickets are not very big. Because what happens is that we are able to invest in the startups when they have like low valuation, right? They are still early in the process. So that means that we are able to get into the rounds with this 50 to 100K as a whole, as a community itself. So there is a minimum requirement of investment from each investor that it's expressing interest to join that startup round, and it's 2.5K USD dollars. So it's like a very low amount, but because we have like a huge community already, right? If I don't know, the people are everyone is putting a minimum 2.5K. Usually we are able to, I don't know, send to the startup this like $100,000 ticket. So it's not an ongoing basis. What happens is that for each investment that is being presented into the DAO, every member has the ability to vote, right? To vote if they want that investment to be made, or if not. So they can say, no, I don't think this is a good investment, or they say, yes, I think that it's a good investment. And if they vote that they think it's a good investment, they also need to signal how much they would be interested to invest, like themselves as investors, right? And then if the vote it's like if the startup it's getting enough votes, and we were talking a bit shortly about the quorum and like how much of the community needs to vote yes. So if we see that the vote it's the community has voted that we should do the investment, then we calculate like the sum. We sum up what everyone was signaled that they want to invest, and we provide the amount to the startup. So that are like a couple of benefits from joining the DAO, like early access to high potential deals, and the ability to, I don't know, invest in them, benefiting from the entire community knowledge. The private deal flow, so that means that we get the chance to invest into the alphas. Like, I don't know if you know the terminology, but in the blockchain space, like all these high potential startups, like early stage high potential startups, we call them alphas. The investment is done in a sort of like community configuration. So you would have the ability to join the round together with the other top angels or like funding organizations that we have in the DAO. Yeah, the educational part, I think it's a very important one, especially if people are new to this or like have experimented with traditional investment, and right now they actually want to understand what's happening or like in the blockchain industry. So we have as well monthly educational calls where we deep dive into all these subjects that, I don't know, Chris was mentioning or like discussing more. We have worldwide events like around the world where we meet as a team, because everyone is from I don't know, different places. We have members from Australia, Singapore, I don't know, US, Europe, South Africa, Latin America. So usually our best chance to meet is like somewhere around like this big blockchain event. So everyone that's joining the DAO will be invited to the private events of the investors community. What makes a startup high potential? That's a very good question, Alex. We are having, so usually how you assess like any startup, there would be different KPIs that you would be looking. You would be looking at the product, right? What they are building. You are looking at the team, like how strong is the team, and you would need to have like a very, very strong due diligence around the team, who they are, what they did in the past, how proficient they are in their space. You are looking at tokenomics. That's a term, I don't know if you are familiar with what does it mean, tokenomics, because all these blockchain startups have their own tokens. They create for like around their project, they're creating a token economy. So you would want to watch very careful like how that token was designed, when it's going to the market, what would be the price, how they would accommodate their evolution on the market. So those are usually things that are being designed in the early stage of the startup. Even if you guys see it right now on the open market, I don't know, you go on an exchange and see the fluctuations of certain tokens, those many times all the economy around the token has been designed in the early stage of the project. So a good thing to do when investing in this type of project is to be aware about this token economy that has been documented, and understanding it if, like, I don't know, makes sense or puts or has different risks or potential. So that's another thing that we are assessing it. Another signal of a high potential startup is the list of backers or other investors that are like endorsing the project, right? Because that's also like a strong signaling that they like other reputable I don't know, VCs or angels or like organizations as us as SunDAO have vetted the project before, right, someone else is investing. There are like also many other aspects that we are looking at, and in general everyone that it's joining the DAO, and every time we are voting on an investment, we are creating an investment memo, it's called, where all of these things are documented and shared in advance with all the DAO members, so that when we are meeting the startups and when we are doing the voting, we have like all the details already in front of us and are able to give our honest opinion around around the potential of the startup, or like our own honest opinion on if we think this startup should get an investment or not from us. Yeah, that's a bit about like how to join SunDAO. There is an annual membership that we do have. So it's a bit different, the one from the one offered to the individuals versus the one offered to the institutions. And what was the logic for us to also put as this like an annual membership? We want the people to, as long as we allow the members to join the DAO, we want them to be motivated to get the best out of the DAO experience. And usually it's very strange, but the fact that people pay like this tax usually makes them be more interested in getting involved into the DAO, be more active in all the activity, like the joining the events, joining the educational session, provide like very deep feedback on the startups. So yeah, that's a bit on how anyone can apply in joining the DAO. On the startup high potential, Alex, was I able to respond to the question, or do you feel that maybe there are other details that we can discuss about?
I'm sorry, I was just muted. I think that you've done a great job. I thought that was amazing. I learned so much. Thank you so much. If anybody does have any last minute questions, now is your time to get them in there, because I'm mindful of time, and I'm sure you ladies are also super busy getting ready for ECC. I'm super jealous that I'm not going to be over there. I'm not sure if anybody else from Australia is heading over. It is a very, very long journey. So I'm not sure how many other, like Chris. Chris, do you know if there's any other people from Melbourne going to ECC?
Not right now. Maybe I will know more after this call.
Maybe there'll be some more, but yeah, I think the next big one I think everyone's talking about is Token 49, which is in Singapore, which is a little bit closer of a flight rather than that big long flight that you just did. But ladies, I really, really appreciate it. I found it extremely valuable. We will definitely be sharing the recording with the community for the ones that couldn't make it. And I know some of them have already asked that had to leave the call early. So lots of valuable nuggets in there. So for anybody that's on the call and you think that somebody would get value from this session, please make sure that you share the recording with them. So we will be posting it on our social, so on All Things Blockchain or Evolver socials. And then eventually when we launch the platform, which is just around the corner, that's where all of these recordings that they'll live. They'll be in a house. And then also with the ATB Community Hub newsletter, we always share the recordings of the events. So a few different places that you can find them. So once again, everyone, thank you so much. Thank you, Chris.
Maybe one thing, Daniela, I put the link to the event, to the next SunDAO community meetup that we have in Cannes. I put it on the chat. So if anyone is coming to Cannes, or if you guys know anyone interested to join, you have it in here. Indeed, like right now, it seems that this would be one of the biggest investors events in ECC Cannes. So we are also like super excited. We have like over 400 people registered for the event. So yeah, like for us, it's also like a lot of on like organizing everything, like making sure that all the DAO members are onboarded and know the details about the event. And yeah, that's indeed for us, it's as well like a very busy period. So if anyone would apply in the next days, or today, or in the next days after the call on joining the DAO, just be a bit patient with us, at least like in the next 1 week and so maybe we will have like a bit of slow response because we are like I said, traveling right now, and like have like a ton of things to close for the event.
For the event, yes. And the conferences, for those of you, we actually just had a local conference here, D conference in the Gold Coast, not as big as ECC or what's happening over in Cannes, but yeah, it's definitely, it's full on, you know, you're networking, you're traveling. For any of those who haven't had a chance to go to any of these big overseas conferences, we also share those in our community newsletters. They're super powerful to attend. And for me, it was very eye-opening. So I encourage you, if you can get yourself to any of them. I know it's a financial investment. There's always different types of investments, right? You can do an investment DAO, you can invest in your education, you can invest in going to conferences. I think that there's a lot of value in attending them. And yes, please definitely keep us updated with any other events that you're going to be doing, coming up at any other conferences or locally. And I look forward to collaborating again in the future and doing another event, because I thought this was quite valuable. So thank you again once, ladies. Thank you for everybody that attended and joined. It makes, if nobody joins, then, makes it hard for us to do these. So as long as people turn up, we're willing to help educate people and learn, because we all started somewhere. For anybody that was on the call and you're wondering, what prediction markets are and what, all these fancy words that they were talking about. Don't worry, we all started somewhere. It is a new language, so just be patient. And we will be launching a Web3 Basics Bootcamp. So stay tuned for those details. That will be launching in the middle of next month. So for all of the beginners on this call, that would be the perfect place for you to start. So thanks again, ladies. Enjoy Cannes. I look forward to seeing the photos. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.